Mason set his alarm for 4:47 a.m. Not 4:45, not 5 o'clock, 4:47. Because that is the exact amount of time he needed to shower, eat something small, and make it to the job site before his foreman started docking pay. He had been doing this for 11 years, 11 years of alarm clocks before sunrise, 11 years of construction dust in his lungs and steel-toed boots that never quite dried out between shifts. 11 years of working so hard that his hands had calluses on top of calluses. And at the end of those 11 years, Mason had $340 in his checking account. Not $340,000, not $34,000, $340, and a $1,200 credit card balance he had been carrying since last Christmas. Here is what nobody told Mason. Here is what nobody tells most people. Hard work is not the path to wealth. It never was. It is something much deeper than that. It is the mechanism that keeps wealth exactly where it already is. To understand Mason's problem, you have to understand a rule so simple that it sounds almost insulting. There are only two ways to make money in this world. You can sell your time, or you can own something that makes money for you. That's it. That is the whole game. Mason was selling his time. He had always been selling his time. Most people are. You wake up, you go somewhere, you perform labor, and in exchange, someone hands you a portion of the value you just created. This is called having a job. And for most of human history, it has been presented as the noble path forward. Work hard, get promoted, earn more, save up, retire. The problem is the math, and the math is brutal. If Mason works a 10-hour day and earns $22 an hour, he makes $220. If he works 6 days a week, he pulls in roughly $1,320 before taxes, before the $180 he pays for health insurance, before $400 in rent, before gas, food, and the phone bill. But here is the ceiling that never gets mentioned. Mason can work 10 hours a day, not 30. There is a hard limit on how much time a human being can physically sell before the body simply stops, which means there is a hard cap on how much money Mason can ever make from that job. No matter how good he gets, no matter how dedicated, no matter how many 4:47 alarms he sets, the income has a ceiling. Now contrast that with the other side of the equation. Ownership. Amazon made $143 billion in profit last year, even while Bezos slept, while he ate breakfast, while he was on vacation, and when he did literally nothing. He did not fill out a timesheet. He owns a percentage of Amazon, and Amazon never stops running. That is not a moral statement. It is a structural one. It is just how the math works. Hard work is a variable that matters a great deal inside a job. But jobs are not the machine that builds wealth. They are the machine that builds someone else's wealth. Specifically, the wealth of whoever owns the business. Mason built houses for 11 years. He does not own any of them. The hardest working people, the ones who genuinely work the hardest. Long hours, physical strain, real effort, are not the highest paid, not the most comfortable. These are construction workers, nurses pulling back-to-back shifts, long-haul truck drivers, farm laborers, warehouse packers, sanitation workers. These are some of the most physically demanding jobs in the country, some of the longest hours, some of the most punishing conditions, and they are among the lowest paid workers in America. Meanwhile, there is a woman in Bangladesh right now making the t-shirt you might be wearing. She works 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, in a factory with no air conditioning for roughly $2 a day. $2. Is she not working hard? She is working exponentially harder than the people whose names appear on the label of that shirt. And she will never, in any realistic scenario, become wealthy. Not because she lacks drive, not because she lacks discipline, but because she is selling time in a market where time is worth almost nothing, and she does not own a single asset that appreciates while she sleeps. The variable that separates the wealthy from the working class is not effort, it is ownership. The people who benefit most from the myth of hard work are the people who already own things. If you genuinely believe that effort equals reward, you will keep working. You will work harder. You will work longer. You will feel personally responsible for your own poverty because surely if you just pushed a little more, it would break your way. And meanwhile, the gap between what your labor produces and what you actually get paid quietly funds someone else's portfolio. Mason knew this, somewhere in the back of his mind. He had felt it without being able to name it. He just thought it meant he needed to work harder. But let's give the hard work argument its best case. Let's say Mason gets smart. He saves aggressively. He reads about investing. He decides to start a business. Here is what he runs into: capital. He needs money to make money, and he does not have it. He goes to the bank. They ask for collateral, meaning assets they can seize if he fails. He does not have assets. So they either say no, or they say yes at 15% interest because he is high risk. He is now starting a business already in debt, already paying a premium, already behind. But let's say he gets the loan. Now he needs a network. He needs someone who has done this before. He needs an introduction to a supplier, or an investor, or a lawyer who will not charge him $400 an hour to explain the basics. Rich kids have this network. They were born into it. Their parents' college friends become their first customers. Their roommate from the expensive university introduces them to the right investor at the right dinner party. The network is not earned, it is inherited, and you cannot build it by working 60 hours a week at a job site. And here is perhaps the most quietly devastating part of all this. Poor people cannot afford to fail. If Mason starts a business and it collapses, he does not have a trust fund. He does not have a family home to move back into while he regroups. He has $340 in his checking account and a credit card he is already carrying a balance on. One failure is not a learning experience. One failure is a catastrophe. Wealthy entrepreneurs fail all the time. We know their names because eventually one attempt worked. But we do not ask how many times they failed first or what cushioned those failures. We just see the survivor and call them self-made. The safety net is invisible to the people who have it. It is very visible to the people who do not. One Thursday evening, Mason was eating dinner alone. He had come home from a 12-hour shift. He was too tired to cook, so he had bought a sandwich from the gas station near his apartment. It cost $4, and it was not very good. He opened his banking app out of habit, checked the balance, closed it. He sat there for a long time. And then something shifted. Not dramatically. Just a quiet, creeping realization that the strategy he had been executing for 11 years was not a path to anywhere different. It was a very well-worn loop. Work, spend, survive, repeat. He started reading. Not self-help, not motivational content, actual mechanics, how markets worked, what a stock actually was, what it meant to own a piece of something, why some people's money grew while they slept and other people's money only appeared when they showed up. He learned that ownership did not require being born rich. It required starting somewhere, even somewhere extremely small. He opened a brokerage account with $80, the first amount he had ever put towards something he owned rather than something he owed. He bought fractional shares of an index fund. He did not get rich. He did not quit his job. But for the first time, he had something that was working while he slept. He started thinking differently about his time, not just how to sell more of it, but how to use portions of it to build something. A skill, a side project, a tiny foothold in the ownership economy rather than just the labor economy. The income was still capped, but the thinking was not. Here's the thing about Mason's story that does not wrap up neatly. He is not rich. He probably will not be rich for a long time. Maybe ever, depending on how you define it. The structural disadvantages are real. The head start he never had is real. The compounding advantage of inherited wealth is a mathematical force that cannot simply be outworked. But here is what changed. He stopped blaming himself for a game he had been playing by the wrong rules. He stopped treating exhaustion as a virtue and started treating it as a warning sign. He stopped working harder and started thinking about what working toward actually meant. The wealth gap is not primarily a story about who tried hard enough. It is a story about who owned what, who inherited what, and who had the safety net to fail and try again. Hard work matters. It matters enormously inside the right structure, but the structure has to be right. You can work incredibly hard running in the wrong direction and arrive, after many years, exactly where Mason was. Tired, behind, wondering what you missed. So here is the question Mason is still sitting with, and maybe the one worth sitting with. If the path to wealth is ownership, and ownership requires capital, and capital requires a starting point, then for someone who starts with nothing, where exactly does the path begin? That question does not really have a comfortable and clear answer. If you learned a thing or two from this story, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.